Hello. Um, my name is Ariel, and today is my last day as a 25-year-old. I know, crazy. Only for me. Only crazy for me. For everybody else, it's like, oh yeah, you age. It's pretty normal. And I was just thinking, a lot has happened this year, and I would like to share some of it. So, let's start with just like an overview, a general recap of the year. Last July I turned 25. Crazy how that works. And then work was awesome. Had tons of kickoffs with schools, and we had the most schools that we've ever had in Tucson this last year that we were working with for Decision Point with their Bible clubs. And I was working with like 10 schools, 35 students. And then in October, I joined the staff at Element City, is very part-time, as the student ministry director. So starting a youth ministry for the first time in a church, and no real experience with it, some training, but the Lord has been doing a lot of it. I've just been a hopefully somewhat faithful participant. I traveled to California, Austin, Buffalo, Dallas, Fort Worth. Well, in California was LA. Went to Colorado, obviously, for our conference, New York City, and talked with so many people from all over the place in those places. I was stretched and tried in new ways this year. I was challenged and failed plenty. I fell in love with Jesus more than I ever have. I also feel like I failed with Jesus more than I ever have. I tried a lot of new things this year. Some of them worked out, plenty of them didn't, but I'm glad I tried when I tried. I got incredibly obsessed with pickleball and then got pretty injured in my one foot. So my pickleball career has been on pause for a little bit. I made some wonderful new friends, kept some incredible ones. I lost some friends, not in death, just relationships. I did stupid things, did smart things, I did wise things, I did unwise things. And all in all, I really just learned that life means absolutely nothing if it's not all about Jesus. And that is something that I will learn forever and ever and ever. I'm never going to stop learning. I'm never going to stop realizing. But it hit me more. And I think it's because I had to do more in general. And the more you do, the more responsibility you have, the more accountable you are to God, the more expectation there is in a healthy way of living a life that gives him honor and brings him glory. And there's just an expectation to lean on him and to not do it in your own power. Now, how well did I do the not doing it in my own power thing? I'll tell you, not very. There were full months where I was like, you know what, God, I've got this. Or I just wasn't checking in that much. I was checking in like a normal person would. Like, okay, I pray or read my Bible or listen to worship and be around Christians and all that. But there were times where I was not faithful and committed how I should have been. And I felt pretty lukewarm, honestly. I feel like I spent a bit of this year being pretty lukewarm. Which, if you know me, you may be like, yeah, you're like super lukewarm, or you might be like, what the crap, what are you talking about? Because some would say I'm pretty extreme, which I am. Secret, I'm super extreme. I make extreme decisions. I have a tendency to make extreme statements and do extreme things, but yeah, I biffed it a lot this year. And I was not always as gracious or kind as I should have been, and for that I'm sorry for anybody who I hurt or I spoke wrongly of. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for the way that my flesh and my foolishness affected you. And then there are other times where I said the right thing and it offended people, and I'm sorry that it offended you, but if it was right, I'm not sorry that I said it. There maybe it could have been a better way that I'd say it, but that's life. I get offended by people who say the right thing to me all the time, and then I have to say, wait, never mind, Lord, that was me. So take that how you will. Yeah, the love of Jesus hit me in a totally different way, though. Like his patience and his graciousness really impacted me. And I thought of 1 Corinthians 13 a lot this year, which I'm going to read some of it to you. The first 3 verses talk about what love isn't, or what it isn't to love. And if you do all these amazing things without love, it doesn't matter. Which is something I also had to learn this year. And you can make these big moves, and you can be around people and do stuff, and it's like, but if you're not doing it with his love, it really does not matter. So, verses 4 of 1 Corinthians 13 is, my translation says charity. I'll translate it to love, though. Love suffers long and is kind. Love envies not. Love vaunts not itself, or boasts not itself. It is not puffed up. Love does not behave itself unseemly. It seeks not her own, is not easily provoked, thinks no evil. Love rejoices not in iniquity or in sin, but rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. And, there's a lot of situations this year where I have so powerfully experienced that. And there are other times where I have not. From people. God always, but people. And I've lost some of my closest relationships this year, which prayerfully are not lost forever. And even if they are, to God be the glory. But any part I have in that, I repent and I turn from that. But there are things, there are just truths in this that are unlike any kind of human love, right? Because think of the 4 types of love. There's phileo, which is brotherly. There's storge, which is parental or fatherly love. There's the eros, which is the sexual love. And then there's agape, which is unconditional. Now, humans are not naturally gifted in unconditional love. And we might say, oh no, I love people in my life unconditionally. Really? Even if they disagree with you? Even if they don't believe what you believe? Even if they don't like you and they're unkind to you? Even if they've said something that's upset you? Even if they like someone you don't like and want to spend time with them? Because the love that it talks about in 1 Corinthians 13 is a unique love. And the condition is literally nothing. This love exists because of God. In 1 John 4, it says that God is love. His character is this. His nature is this: patient, kind, not boastful, not envying in an unhealthy way, not rejoicing in sin and iniquity, but in the truth. And it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And his love does not fail. And I can't help to think that I have most definitely fallen into ungodly love plenty in my life. And the way that I treat people, I've treated people with very conditional love. And I've been treated with very conditional love. But the joy of my life is that God's love never fails and that it has no condition. He doesn't require that I be perfect. He doesn't require that I have no faults or failings, or that I do everything just right to love me. Even when I'm wayward, even when I'm rebellious, he still loves me. Does he want me to be rebellious? Absolutely not. Do I honor him in my rebellion? No, I don't even respect myself in my own rebellion, because I'm going against what God has designed. But his design being that we act in this way, in a way that honors one another. And you know what? Perfect love also corrects. Perfect love instructs. Perfect love builds up. It doesn't tear down. And perfect love also lays down its life for another person. And that's what Jesus did, right? John 3:16 says that for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever would believe in him wouldn't perish but would have everlasting life. And then verse 17 says, for he did not come to the world to condemn the world, to destroy it, to send it to destruction, but that the world through him might be saved. That is love. That is really cool love too. And it's a love that withstands, because no other love will stand like that will. And I love Romans. I'm going to go to it because I can. Romans 5, 6 through 8. Yeah, 6 through 9. For when we were yet without strength, in due time, Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely a righteous man will one die. Yet, peradventure, perchance, for a good man, some would even dare to die. But God commends his love toward us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Much more than this, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. That's crazy. Verse 10, for if when we were enemies we were reconciled to God by the death of his Son, much more, being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life. We've been saved by that. Verse 8, when it says that he commended his love towards us. He gave it. Sacrificially. Didn't have to. Well, for our forgiveness he had to, but he didn't have to forgive us. But he chose to. He didn't have to give up his life, but he chose to, because he loves us and he cares for us. So, what does 26 have for me? A lot. I'm sure it has plenty. I'm sure it has so much that it makes my head spin. But the most important part of it is that it has him, and it has his will, and it has his plans, his paths, his provisions. And I just really want to see that. I'm genuinely going into my 26th year more in love with Jesus than ever before, more excited to be obedient and to follow his will than ever before, and more expectant that he's going to move in powerful, powerful ways, because my God is awesome, and he is mighty, and he does not fail, and he does not grow tired. He's not just a man who can't handle it. There's nothing he can't handle. So that's my hope, and that's my joy. And I pray that for anybody who sees this, that would be their joy, and that would be their hope. God bless you.